want to achieve or to work with is to redress the imbalances of the past while ending poverty and ensuring that no one is left behind regarding the participation in all aspects of the economy and social life. Gender-based violence and femicide is a form of social injustice that perpetuates inequalities within societies, especially societal groups that are more prone to these forms of violations. These inequalities within the gender framework perpetuate social inequalities amongst these vulnerable groupings, thereby curtailing equality in the broader narratives of social survival. We therefore welcome the action of the government of South Africa and its relevant governmental departments, stakeholders, and partners in articulating the tabulation of this bill to seek to end gender-based violence and femicide. However, we have specific concerns that we thought should be considered in the finalization of the bill. We have made submissions to the department, so I'll just give a very brief summary of what we think should be considered in the finalization of the bill. The bill must be commended as it underpins the task of setting up a National Council for Gender-Based Violence and Femicides that sees the implementation of a national gender strategy plan for gender-based violence and femicide to end violence against marginalized groups in South Africa. However, considering further refinements based on the constitutional fidelity, the bill could have more transformative potency on the plans, programs, and strategies to end gender-based violence and femicide. Firstly, further clarifications on the object and purpose of the bill is required in order to avoid duplication of roles, the incorporation of all stakeholders and issues related to monitoring and evaluating of its programs. Further refinement is also needed on the synergies that ought to be enhanced with ministries and departments and relevant stakeholders responsible for combating violence against women and other marginalized groups. The balance between the required expertise to undertake the tasks of the National Council and resource mobilizations that sustain its operation and attainment of its overall goal ought to be seriously weighed. This is an important consideration in that it avoids the establishment of an institution that will struggle to undertake its overall goal due to funding and resource challenges. This thereby hampers the intended overall goal of fighting and overcoming gender-based violence and femicide. My chair, this is our submissions. I leave it up to you. These are the concerns that we, as the Center for Social Justice, have in relation to the bill. Thank you.
So, Dr. Tumeni, when you were invited by the department on the public hearings, because you are saying you have made your submission to them. Oh, okay. Ah, yeah, okay. Masiko.
Chair, I have a question in relation to the very same question that you're asking. I'm happy that you were invited by the department, but do you feel that the contributions and submissions that you made to the department were taken into consideration now that you are seeing the actual bill itself?
Oh, no, what I meant to say is we made formal submissions to the call for comments on the bill. Those are the written submissions that we made. So when I was presenting, I was just giving a shorter, brief, a concise sort of presentation on what our thoughts were in regards to the bill that is currently, the draft bill that is currently there. So maybe.
If I understand you correctly, Doctor, you made written submissions for this public participation, not a previous public participation that the department had. It's to this one for the portfolio committee. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Chair, I hope that
So you
that-
didn't participate in the first round where the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities was conducting public participation process?
I think they participated, but I hadn't yet joined. I've just been, it's a beer, but I think in terms of the overall bill itself, yes, they made submissions in terms of that. The the gender-based violence, the amendments that were being made to the gender-based violence. Yeah. Yes, not the council, yeah. Yes. Yes.
You have given us half-baked submission. To us, Nelly, where is Nelly's? You didn't do justice. You have 10 minutes. You should have presented important things so that, because we are recorded, so that
Okay.
after this, we'll listen to all the records on things that have been presented. So once you present half-baked things, still only half-baked. Yabo, lama keke wakanga vuthwanga sotila ngawo. And then next time you are khala, hey, but this is what I submitted, but you were here to do oral submission and you just say, hello, and how are you? I'm black, I'm green, and then bye-bye. You see, you are given an opportunity. What you are doing, what you are forfeiting it,
No, I'm
you're
not.
abusing it.
I can go into detail. I just.
You
said-
should have done that because that's what is important for us.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, Dr. Vilaga's take us through. That's why I felt it's important we make another day for them to make a presentation because she's here and due to time constraints, the time is limited. And it's only her that will be granted that because she is here and she has requested. Yeah. So if there's something important, present it. Yeah.
Okay,
Well-
in terms of thank you for those observations. In terms of the purpose of the act, clause 2, F, the Ministry of Women and the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities should have a responsible person for monitoring and evaluating its ministerial obligation and links to the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide. Within the National Council, there ought to be a policy and programs monitoring and evaluation person who liaises with the responsible ministries on the progress of all programs and ensures that their alignment with the overall national strategic plan on gender-based violence and femicide. Having key persons for these roles ensures that programs and short, medium, and long-term targets are closely monitored, tracked, and challenges that they may arise are identified and addressed timeously. Going to the object of the council, clause 4, C, ought to state that the council object is to monitor and evaluate all programs, policies, and recommended actions by requisite stakeholders are implemented and attained according to the projected cycles and timelines. Monitoring and evaluation must be a key function of the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, as this assesses the impact of the National Strategic Plan of Action in the overall fight against gender-based violence and femicide. On the Board of Councils, the Department of Clause 6B, the Department of Higher Education and Training should be included as a key member of the board. They're instrumental as a key ally in the required education programs and training on issues on gender-based violence and femicide awareness, prevention and protection in key sectors of the communities in South Africa. There's lack of specificity on the aggregation based on gender, age, or disability for those who constitute as members of the council. The department should focus is to address violence and address violence, femicide of marginalized groups, which include women and persons living with disabilities. These groupings ought therefore to be well represented on the council. We recommend the use of data disaggregated by ward in order to identify and monitor hotspots. We also recommend the use of our 9-dimensional social justice impact assessment matrix to evaluate the impact of the council's work. The composition of the board stakeholders, we should include representation from international aid or development agency partners as they are key in funding government programs. Another consideration on the composition of the board is how and where will the composition of the gender equality fit into the work of the National Council? What are the synergies that ought to be established between the National Council and the Commission for Gender Equality in the advancement of programs and national plans? Appointment of Chief Executive Officer, clause 15. Reconsiderations should be made in relation to the appointment of a Chief Executive Officer for the Council. Considerations should alternatively be the appointment of a Chief Program Manager for the Council. This is a less costly arrangement in the financial resources of the Council and its sustainability, effectiveness, and continued operation. While experts are essential for the National Council to provide strategic focus and on implementation of the requisite plans to combat gender-based violence and femicide, this must be balanced against the available resources and motivated by the need to have a practical and cost-effective team. The consideration ensures the realization of all objects, plans, programs that eliminate violence, femicide within South African communities. Clause 18, the key institution to secure funding for the National Council on Gender-Based Violence should be the Ministry of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disability. Placing this obligation on the Council to source its own funding raises the question on how different the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide is from other non-governmental organizations or civic society. It also places the National Council in a challenging scenario of competing in a pool of limited resources, which eventually threatens its continuity and implementation of programs. The challenging scenario is in the long run, hinders the realization of national strategies and programs to combat the fight to end gender-based violence and femicide. Under this clause, the issue that also need to be considered is the National Council's clarification under the Public Finance Management Act. What will be the nature of the work or the relationship in the operation and functioning of the council? How is accountability ensured in this classification and operation? Madam Chair, these are our submissions on the National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tuman. Any question? Okay, thank you very much. We'll look at your submission also. Yeah. Siyabonga kakhulu for isikhathi sakho nokusibekezelela. Let's get Ms. Ngwenya, Black Management Forum.
Thank you. You guys can all hear me. My name is Kanya Ngwenya. I represent the Black Management Forum as the chairperson for the Women Empowerment Desk. The Black Management Forum, known as the BMF, is a non-racial, non-partisan, and non-sexist organization focusing on the development of managerial leadership and the creation of managerial structures that are reflective of the demographics and values of the broader South African society. The BMF strives to provide its members with access to necessary tools to develop managerial and leadership skills through workshops, conference, and programs. We are positioned as a thought leader through contributing to public and producing solutions for the problems faced by South Africa. Our goal is to advocate for transformation in the social and the socioeconomic sphere, and this includes lobbying for legislation that seeks to change the economic outlook in corporate South Africa and the broader society. The Women Empowerment Desk under the BMF is a gender catalyst desk with the objective of institutionalizing the gender focus within the BMF by creating a gender-sensitive culture and woman upliftment agenda. We are also representative of about 500 members nationally. The Women Empowerment Desk also advocates for the developments and advancements of female leaders and further contributes to the development of policies that aim to create a gender equal society that protects and empower women in both society and in the world of work. So we represent members who are victims, some of them who are victims to gender-based violence as they are employees of corporates, who are, some of them being bullied, being victims of sexual harassment, sexual assaults in the workplace. So it's very important for us to be contributing to this bill. The bill that I'm referring to is the National Council for the Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Bill. So our comments are as follow. They are very, very brief because we've already made a submission prior to this. So I'm just going to browse through them. I'm not going to go into much details on other points because they have been already presented by the other colleagues. So I'm going to start on point section 6, which speaks to the Board of Council. Sorry? Oh, I'm going to start on the Board of Council section 6. So we felt that for diversity of thoughts and cultural experience and different ethnic views, that we propose that the committee must consist of at least one female from each of the following racial groups. So each female will come from the African, colored, Indian, and the white racial groups. For this, we felt that, you know, for the diversity of thoughts, it's very important to have a representation of all the females of what we consider as the racial groups of South Africa. We also thought that it would be very progressive to also include at least the one member from the LGBTQ community. We feel that they also need to be included, as it's also common knowledge that they are also very much affected, or rather victims of violence and what we have known as the corrective rape, which is commonly sort of heard within this community. So we also felt that we should also make a submission that if it so happens that the chairperson of the council is a female, then the deputy should automatically be a male and vice versa. I think this is very important for the gender parity reasons and also for the balance of power. Moving on to section 7 on the disqualification of membership of board. We are making a submission that we know that it was included that individuals will be eliminated if they have been convicted of. We feel that we should also amend and include that if an individual has been allegedly accused of, they should also be prevented from being included, from being appointed. And then I move on to section 8, which is the declaration of financial and other interest of members. I think it was mentioned that reasonable time will be given as 10 days. We felt that maybe that should be amended to about 30 days. Terms of office. Just want to go back here. A member may resign by giving a month's notification. It doesn't give consideration of if an individual has died. I think this is just to include that on the commentary, as it has been included under section 11 of the bill. On section 10 on the remuneration of members, we felt that the council should rather the minister should seek assistance from the Department of Treasury, because we know that there's already regulated remuneration levels that exist already, that we assume that should be utilized and apply in this council. On section 11 on vacancies of board, comment number 1, the vacancies can also happen when a member can no longer occupy the role due to health reasons. So we felt that maybe that should also be included on that section. And then we also felt that we should also include, perhaps what we should be including there is that the role must be filled immediately and should not be vacant for longer than 6 months. I think on the bill it said something around that the bill will be filled with what I can't remember, but it mentions something around the 6 months. But we feel that it should rather be indicated that the bill should be filled immediately and should not exceed 6 months. For point 13, meetings of boards, it was mentioned somewhere on the bill that the date, the time and place for the first meeting of the board will be determined during the first meeting. However, we feel that the date and the place and the time of the meeting cannot be determined in consultation with the chairperson as per section 6.6. The chairperson will be appointed during the very same meeting. And in section number 2, there should be an allowance rather for an option for individuals to be able to join virtually. We noted that this was not included on the bill. And then point 15 on the appointment of the CEO, we ask that it should rather be included to give preference to females, to encourage a pool of females to apply for the role. We feel that it will be really strategic to have this kind of role rather, given preference to a female. For section 16, the functions of the CEO. It says on point J, together the CFO will develop a budget in accordance with section 53 of the Public Finance Management Act. We are of the view that it says that the CEO should develop a budget in accordance with section 53. We feel that I will address this again on section 17. We feel that there should be, separations of power between the role of the CEO as well as the CFO. Point 17 on the Secretariats of Council, it does not make sense for the CEO to be head of the secretariats. He already has too many functions, or whatever will already have had many to function. So we think that the secretariats should have its own head who focuses mainly on admin and secretariats functions, and that individual will then report directly to the CEO. On section 19 on the financial management, we felt here that there should be separations of power and duty, and that the CEO should not be responsible for the financial management of the council. Instead, the council should then appoint a CFO who will be an accounting officer for all financial matters, and that individual obviously will report directly to the CEO. We also noted that there's a lot of overlapping of functions of what we would be expected to be functions of a CEO being tabled on the bill as expected to be functions of the CEO. We are urging the council to please look at that and ensure that at least there is somebody who will be designated or rather a CFO appointed to oversee the financial management of the council, instead of putting all of that power into one individual who is the CEO. In closing, the BMF welcomes the bill and encourages the considerations that we have submitted to be considered. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ngwenya. Thank you very much, and for your patience. Thank you, because you came very early.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Any question, honorable members? Honorable Masiko?
Thank you, Chairperson. It's not based on what Ms. Ngwenya has presented, but maybe one will get an opportunity to engage further on the formal written submission. What is the view of the Black Management Forum on the level of participation and inclusion of the private sector in the council? Thanks.
You mean the level of participation of the private sector on the bill?
Yes.
To tell you the truth, you know, we haven't really had any further engagements on the bill, because even the way that we got to, you know, I think we probably heard about the bill 5 days before the closing of the bill, of the submission, and we haven't heard a time really to engage on I guess on our views personally on the bill. We've just made comments just on the National Council, because that's the only part that we saw. I know there was a previous one that was posted prior to that. We haven't seen that one, and therefore we haven't made any submission. So I wouldn't want to, you know, to speak and, you know, sort of put my views as if they are views of the organization. I just want to be very clear of that. And I haven't, you know, had that opportunity to consult with the committee of the Women Empowerment Desk before I make that comment. But I think, you know, it's something that, you know, we will definitely, you know, as we go along, start establishing that relationship with the departments and be able to submit any comments as we feel and where it's necessary.
Honorable Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you so much for your participation and your patience.
Yes.
We really do apologize for making you wait and having to go to the House to do the declarations. You made some interesting submissions, but I'd like to maybe get some more clarity or thought process around the disqualification part of it, where you speak about allegedly being
Yes.
accused. Can you maybe walk us through that? What was the thinking? As you know, we are inclined in this country, proven
Yes.
innocent until proven guilty. When it comes to GBVF, personally, believe the victim until proven otherwise is my standing. So I just wanted to find out from your perspective, what is the thinking behind this thought process? Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you so much for that question. So the thinking around this was mainly around the fact that we have seen individuals who have been accused that haven't been charged of certain offenses, then appearing in committees and serving. And it sort of plays a very, you know, a distasteful sort of appearance on the victims that have been, you know, been victims of that individual. So we feel that if an individual has been under the cloud or under a questionable mark, that immediately that individual should be eliminated from participating until, I guess, they have been cleared. I think when there's been allegations that have been made, it sort of paints that individual under a different cloud, that we feel that that individual should immediately be eliminated from participating, especially if they've been accused of you know, acts like gender-based violence. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, you made it in.
Sorry?
Okay, your initial K made it.
It's Nogukanya Kanyongwe.
Oh, why am I K?
Did they write K? I don't know.
Her name is Nogukanya.
Yeah, but I also use Kanyo.
Oh,
Yes,
Kanyo.
Kanyo.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Kanyo.
Thanks.
Asibonge man. Ayiseke imibuzo ngithi. And then who's next, Nelly? What done? On visual, no one. Ne? Viva. Okay, thank you very much, honorable members. Thank you for your patience, Dr. Villagas. Thank you very much. Department of Women, thank you, Nondumiso, for staying up until this time. I hopefully you have noted all the concerns that were raised regarding the participation of other stakeholders through your processes as a department. And I'm not sure as a committee how are we going to deal with it, but I'm sure as the portfolio committee,
Chair, can I suggest that maybe the department comes back with a report on what public participation they've done, what were the procedures that they used, which publications did they put the adverts out, attendance registers, as well as who was invited, just so that we can do due diligence as a portfolio committee. Thank you, Chair.
thank you very much, Honorable Sheriff. Dr. Villagas, I have made an undertaking that will give you a chance to come and make your presentation, a full presentation, so that you are satisfied and we are satisfied also, taking into consideration that you came here and you've raised the concerns with us as the portfolio committee. And then with regards to the department, we will write to the department and request all that information so that we make a determination on what is it that we are going to do as the portfolio committee. Because, you know, when people raises important matters with you as a portfolio committee, you need to attend to it and see how best can we meet each other rather than ignoring that people are complaining that they were not involved in the whole process of consultation. So we will then have that report from you as a department, and then we'll take it from there, so that when we deliberate on this bill as the committee, we are sure that there will be no litigation from our side, and will be thorough. So if there are other things that you want to raise with the committee, feel free to talk to our staff members, Abonedi, and our research team. They will brief the chair anyway on other things. And yeah, but thank you very much. Unlike those who are saying Bona Aba invite and a process was open, they were supposed to come, but they didn't come. But abanye bayakhala nje, mara ngcono bakhala babe khona endaweni. So with those few words, thank you, our interpreter, for being here for Umam Kaula. Siyabonga kakhulu. Asibonge Miss Landu. Sifuna ukuthi wena namhlanje uyibhale ku Twitter into yama public hearings eswenzile thina si portfolio committee. Done ku Twitter. Yeah. Go na ku Facebook na ku ini. So that because manje asifuna ukuthi abanye bathi nabo sebayafuna. Mhlambe abantu abanye singabanikeza opportunity ilaba abasilinde bahamba. So that is not easily that Dr. Villagas not and invite also Kosatu and the other people who waited, who couldn't wait long, because also in load shedding data for abanye abantu, it's expensive. We can accommodate those ones. When we'll look at our program for next week, if there is an opportunity, there is a space, so that we invite them. We'll invite you guys. So ungahambi uprepare ngoba mangabe sithi next week sizokutshela. Yeah, so that nizokwazi ubuya ke nalabo abanye bekhosathu nelo. Sizochecka next week. If isikhathi isikhona, it's next week. If asikho isikhathi sizobona masibuye kule term le before sicala ama deliberations. But thank you very much, honorable members, and you were all prepared. Mam Kawula, Honorable Sharif, Honorable Machesi, Honorable Boni, Honorable Masiko, thank you for attending this portfolio committee physically. We have done justice. Thank you very much to our researchers, man. Christelle, Tasnim, and Kashifa, Nelly, and Mr. Mvaba, thank you. Department of Women, thank you. The meeting, what? Okay. Okay, Department of Women, Nina, for this cut, yeah. 2 weeks? Or a week? Okay. Okay. All right. Siyabonga kakhulu bantu be-IT. Be-TV siyabonga. Thank you very much, honorable members. The meeting is adjourned.